Welcome to this development workshop. I already said that I think there were a lot of introductory talks already, which is great. So we can dive deeply into the development part. And we are, all the three of the Berlin Jovo team are here today. So if you have any questions, development related, Jovo related, just let us know. The other two are at the other talk. They're sick of me presenting the same stuff all the time. But yes, they're also here, and they're here to help. And actually, Alex built most of the frameworks. So if you run into any deep development problems, he's here to help as well. And so for this, let me talk about the framework first. So we built the Jovo framework. So Jovo is the first open source framework that lets you build Amazon Alexa skills and apps for Google Assistant with only one code base. We started, I think the first line of code for the framework was written last May. We were part of a voice accelerator back then and launched it summer last year, launched our version 1.2 just a month ago. Which introduced a lot of more features targeted at professional developers. For example, we launched stuff like deployments, unit testing, and things like that, just to make it easier for teams to collaborate and work together. And we're happy that since a month ago or so, we're also a recommended tool. We're the only open source framework that's recommended by Amazon. I forgot to mention that. So we are an open source tool that anyone can use it for free. You just download it, use it in your code, and it works for both platforms. And we've had a few success stories. So for example, Panda Rescue, which was one of the winners of the Alexa Kids Skill Challenge, was built with Jovo. The same team, they're also now a finalist in the Alexa Lifehack Challenge. Also built with Jovo. So there's a few things that are built with Jovo, both Amazon Alexa and Google Assistant specific. So we try to not just be a common denominator, we try to also build or help people build very platform specific features. And I can show you a little bit about that later as well. And today, so I planned a little introduction to voice app development. I saw that Peter already showed a lot of dialog flow, for example, so I will just quickly go through that and then show some of the features of Jovo by coding a skill and a Google action. We had some problems setting up the devices, so I hope they work, but let's try it out. And if you have any questions, I see a lot of you already have their laptops out. So if you have any questions or if you want to just follow along while I do the live coding, just let me know and we can help there as well. Okay. So voice app development has mostly, let's say, two stages. So one stage is what happens in the voice platform, and that's what the others told already. And the other stage is where the logic happens. So this means you as a voice app developer need to take care of two things. One is to register or train the language model at the voice platform, and then the coding part where you actually do. Do you have a question? Sorry. And then the coding part where you actually do the logic of the voice app. So basically, a language model and the others show that as well is telling Alexa what you expect your users how you expect your users to talk to your voice app with intent. So I have a screenshot of it. We can go into this later. This is the developer console from Amazon. You can add your skills there. You can then add your language model. So for example, there's a hello world intent. You have some sample utterances. And so if you then say, if someone says say hello to your app, then it just sends the hello world intent to your app logic, and then you know what to do with it and return a response. And the same thing happens on Google as well. For Google, most people use Dialogflow, which is also owned by Google. This is Google's natural language understanding service. And it looks a little different, but it's mostly similar. So you create intents, you create training phrases, they're called there. And that's mostly it. And there's other stuff, and we can go into this later, like entities are called slots for Alexa, like variable parts of a sentence. And but this is, I think, what's important to understand now before we go into the coding part. And then there needs to be a connection between your language model or the voice platform and your code. And this is so that Alexa or Google Assistant can tell your code, hey, someone's talking to your app. And this can be done on both platforms by adding an endpoint. So this is here on the Amazon Alexa developer console back down there. You just add an endpoint, which is mostly an AWS Lambda function, because that's recommended by Amazon. We offer something else to make it more comfortable to do local prototyping. I can show you that later. Yes, and on Dialogflow, it's under the fulfillment section. You just add a link there, and this link is called, or this endpoint is called whenever someone talks to your app with requests, and it's expecting responses back. So, and that's mostly the very, very simple introduction. I just didn't want to go into this too deeply. And what Jovo does is that we're basically helping or powering the endpoint part or the logic part. So you can still host your app wherever you want. You just integrate Jovo into your code. It's a Node.js library and a few other tools around that, and use our library to build out your logic. And we also offer a lot of integrations there. We offer local prototyping, databases, analytics, and stuff like that, so that you only have to build all of these things out once. And that's basically it regarding the introduction. So we just launched this a week ago when we updated our website. To make it easier for you to get started, we added a template directory. It's at jovo.tech/templates. We will use 2 of them now for live coding. But this just installs code examples very easily so that you can get started and understand how a voice app works. That's it. Now let me go behind that. Okay, are there any questions before I start coding? Anything that, so a few of you already have experience with voice app development. Can you tell me what you've used for that before?
Exactly. It will be easily integrated with other templates like Cordova template, you know.
Cordova?
Yeah.
Okay.
Cordova template.
Mm-hmm.
It will be easy, okay, or not it will be easy.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I will take a look at that. But, so right now it's, so you mean that people that have built mobile apps before can also just build voice apps or integrate that? Oh, okay. Okay. No, I will take a look there as well. As Cordova. Okay. Anyone? So can you show me real quick again who has built voice apps before? Okay. I know what you're using. Bob Talk. I will be there later, right? Then what tools have you been using in the back? Mm-hmm. Okay. 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 How about you? What have you been using? Same thing? Okay. Cool. So it's the same thing. It's just instead of the Alexa Skills Kit, you use Jovo, and I will show that to you now. Okay, does it work? So to get started with a Jovo project, you can install the Jovo CLI as a global. So those are the command line tools that make it easier to install the templates, for example, and to run our development server, which I will show you later. hope with the internet it works for everyone. And so if you, while it's installing, so our website is jovo.tech, and we've spent quite some time working on the docs. So if you have any questions there, or if you need to read through something, there's a lot, like for the CLI. We have everything shown here. So, and here's the, so the CLI is installed now, and I will just create a new Jovo project called Jovo New Talk to Me. And this will create the, our Hello World template, which is the default template. And I'll create it into a new folder. And I will just go into this folder and open it in Visual Studio Code. So, okay. Make it a little bigger. Does it work for you? Okay. So this is what a Jovo does. Everyone, is it okay for you? Do you see it? Okay. So the thing to look at, and I will go through everything step by step later, but the thing that's interesting right now is the app logic, which is sitting here in the app folder in app.js. So there you can see we've talked about intents before. So we have a launch intent, which is triggered when the app is opened, and then we have a hello world intent, for example, which just asks the user for the name. And then if the person answers, then it greets the person with their name here and says, "Nice to meet you." And we'll try that out now. So we'll use the Jovo CLI to initialize an Alexa skill. And we'll go through everything in a bit, but we're already we're building it and deploying it to the Alexa platform, and I hope this is going to work. So I just wanted to give you a very, very quick walkthrough and then make it slower, but just to show you how easy it is to get started with Jovo. So I'm automatically deploying it to the Alexa platform. It's training the language model now that was created from the Jovo template. And then when this is done, and I hope this won't take too long, then, whoops. Problems here. Oh, it's done. Okay, let's try it out. Alexa? Oh, sorry, I forgot one more thing. So I just created it.
I don't know that one.
I know. So I forgot one more thing, and I will show you this later as well. So I'm just running the Jovo development server here, and now I can. Now it's directly tunneling into my code. So Alexa, open my test app.
Hello world. What's your name?
John.
Hey son. Nice to meet you.
Okay, as you can see, sometimes it's Alexa's running into problems. It doesn't recognize Jan as a US name, so that's why I'm usually John in these presentations. Sure. Okay, so what happened? So this was a lot that just happened, and I will just quickly walk you through this now. So it was just a simple Alexa skill working in a minute or so, but I skipped a lot of steps, and I will show you this now, how everything worked. So what I just did is I created an Alexa skill project by doing Jovo init Alexa skill. And what this did is it created a, here in app.json, I've created an Alexa skill project there to show Jovo that it's an Alexa skill project and not a Google Action project just yet. And what I did then is to create platform-specific language model files. So right now, with every Jovo template, you get a models folder which has the language model. So if you've built an Alexa skill before that and didn't use the web interface from Alexa, it's usually a JSON file. So what I showed you in the screenshot before, it's a hello world intent, and there's the sample phrases here. But this is our abstracted language model. So this is the Jovo language model, and we need to convert that in either an Alexa skill interaction model or a Dialogflow agent, which I will show you later. And you do this by using Jovo build. This is then creating a platforms folder with an Alexa skill folder in it, where there is, here we have the Alexa interaction model. It looks a little different, for example, here. So this is translated into this new model here. And what I then did is with Jovo deploy, and this takes a while again, I pushed it into the Amazon developer platform, and we're using the Alexa Skills Kit CLI tool for that. So I'm already registered there. So it's one more step if you don't have it already. But after that, it works like this. And so what happened there is, let me refresh. Maybe I need to log in again. I don't know. Okay, let's see. I think I'm in the wrong account here. Okay. So never mind. So I will show you this later. So this will create an Alexa skill here in the Alexa skills interface, and there you can see everything. And so, for example, here's one part. It's very weird that this isn't working right now. So what it does automatically, it creates this language model here. So hello world intent. You've seen that. The invocation name, it creates this one here. So for example, we have my test app, which you just heard. In this example, it's my plugin test. And what it also automatically does is creating an endpoint. So usually with the other examples that you've seen, you have to upload your code to AWS Lambda all the time, for example, which is quite tedious if you have to do it with every change. And what Jovo does is we create a webhook. So with our development server, if we do Jovo run, for example, this automatically creates a link for you. So it runs the code on your computer, so you don't have to upload it to Lambda all the time. And so this is automatically with Jovo deploy added to your endpoint, so that you can just test it right away. And so this is how it works for Alexa. And I can also show you how it works on Dialogflow. Are there any questions so far? I know it's so I don't know what your backgrounds are. If there's any, like if anyone, I don't know how your developer experience is. So we usually say that. So I'm barely a developer myself. So my co-founder Alex, he's a computer science. He studied computer science and was a software engineer. I studied business, industrial engineering, and management. And so I, even with like hardly any development knowledge, I was able to build quite a few skills with our framework. And I think Alexa skill and Google Action development is a great start for coding beginners to just get started. I mean, if you take a look at the actual logic of the app, it's very, very simple. So it launches the app, and then it redirects you to this hello world intent, for example. And then in this hello world intent, you don't do anything more than just asking a question here. So ask means you're expecting an answer, and tell means you're closing the session. So after hey Jan, nice to meet you, or hey Sun, nice to meet you, it didn't expect a response again from the user. And so this is how it works, and I can, yeah.
If I would like to add some other intent, I will push, I will write another upset handle, or I will can put another,
yes,
another function. Copy and paste another function.
So you can, we could add something like that, weather intent, and then do a, it's sunny in Berlin, for example, hotel. So if, oh, I don't know how that happened here. Okay, Siri wants to be part of the team as well. Okay, sorry? Yeah, that's just the JavaScript thing. So I'm using these here so that it's escaped here. So, okay. So I could try that, of course. Yeah, I could do that. I could just add an intent here. Weather intent. What is the weather? And then do Jovo build again, and it would create the Alexa skill interaction model. And I can show you this with the.
You can ask the weather.
Yeah. When I can show you, like, okay, Jovo in it. Let's create a Google action here. So we're initializing a Google action. This will again add the Google action to our app.json here. It uses Dialogflow as default natural language understanding tool, and we will build the Dialogflow agent with Jovo build. So this will then, the first time, we'll create in the platforms folder, create a Google action folder here, create the Dialogflow agent there. And Dialogflow is a little more difficult to deploy automatically just from the command line. This is why we offer a workaround as well that doesn't, so that developers don't have to set up. Oh no, let's just only deploy the Google action. So the same thing that you saw where it automatically deployed it to the developer platform, this requires a few more steps with Google, because Google has quite some tedious authentication processes. So what we offer is with a deployment of a Google action, we just create a zip file of a Dialogflow agent, which is, let's go there, which you can find here. And so if you go to Dialogflow and create a new agent, so this is the natural language understanding engine from Google. So you can create a new agent. Just talk to me, and saves a while, and then you can just go after it's done. Just go into the settings and import it. And I hope it works. Finally, okay. So you just go to export and import, do restore from zip, and upload it there. And this will just import the new Dialogflow agent. So now, if you now go to the intents here, you have the default, these are default intents, and you have the hello world intent here, for example. You have the my name is intent, and you have the weather intent. So here's what is the weather that we just added to the file. And what's also added automatically is in the fulfillment section, our webhook URL. So you can also find it here. Here the endpoint. So this is my personal local development endpoint, and this is added automatically. And so if I now want to test it, let's set it up with Google Assistant. So Dialogflow is a standalone tool which offers a lot of other things like Facebook Messenger, Slack integrations. They are owned by Google, so Google Assistant is the most popular integration, but you always have to connect Dialogflow to Google Assistant again. And our internet is not too fast, but I can show you then as well. So yeah, this is how a simple project looks like. So it's mostly for you just the app.js folder, which just does the logic, and then the language model. What I usually like to do is, I mean, sometimes it's just easier to add stuff here. I'm in the wrong internet again. This makes sense now. Okay. Let's try it again. Hello. Okay, let's try it out. So we're in the simulator now. The simulator sometimes doesn't work too great. Oh, what I forgot is I need to run the server.
Okay, let's get the test version of my test app.
Hello world, what's your name? Hey John, nice to meet you.
Okay, and this should also work here. Okay, Google, talk to my test app.
Here's the test version of my test app. Hello world, what's your name?
John. Okay, it's a little quiet. Okay. And so there's one thing. So it didn't recognize my name now, and as you can see here, so in the terminal, you can see actual error messages. So you can see the incoming requests and incoming responses. It's a little large type right now, so it's a little difficult to see. And there's one error message, so something is missing, and this is, as you can see here, the default fallback intent cannot be found in the handler. And this is, the reason for that is Dialogflow has something that Alexa doesn't. So Alexa doesn't give you the raw text, and Dialogflow does. So they offer a default fallback intent. So whenever it doesn't recognize an intent, so I don't know, the name Jan isn't recognized as a name, so it's just going into the default fallback intent, and it didn't find that in the handler. So what we can do there is we can add an unhandled intent, which is basically just. Can you say that again? Which is basically just a wrapper around all intents that are not found here, and then afterwards it should work. But also one more thing there is, like at the beginning, I know if you have already developed with AWS Lambda, it's super tedious to go into to CloudWatch to look at all the logs and everything. And this makes it a little easier to debug just in your terminal. But also, as you can see here, when you're testing like several flows, it's like super difficult to like go through there. And what we just added, and I hope this works because it's just Alex deployed it this morning, so as an exclusive talk to me alpha version. Let's not call it beta. So you can actually use this link here, your webhook link, and so and as you can see here, it's connected. So this is the actual, a new console that we're calling, oh, here you can see Talk to Me Hackathon Alpha. And so if I talk to it now, it should work. Okay, Google, talk to my test app. Jan. My name is John. So as you can see here, there's a little more, maybe it's a little, make it a little bigger. So it's a little more organized way. So you can go through if you're testing different flows. You can see that there's different inputs. So if you're working with intents here, you have an input, you have a name that is John. You always see your request here, the response there. You see the console here. And you can even test it as well. So you can, without talking to a device, you can just open the launch intent again and then answer with a name, for example, add a name there. And so this is supposed to make it easier to test whole flows of your skill without having to go through the terminal here all the time, and still being able to debug easily. Yeah. So yeah, that's how to like do the first steps of cross-platform development. So Alexa and Google, they're different for many things. So we offer a lot of platform-specific features. So for Amazon Alexa, we offer Echo Show display templates, for example. We offer progressive responses, audio player skills, and so on. So a lot of templates are actually platform-specific features. So the Alexa audio player, Alexa in-skill purchases. So if you want to sell something, we offer a template there as well. On the templates, we show sample conversations. So if you want to look around there, here, for example, the trivia template. You can just install it by doing Jovo new trivia test, and then do template trivia game, and this will create the trivia template. And this is a more advanced template that uses different questions, lets you answer to them, and let's go there. So as you can see here, it's a little more advanced, and shows, like, uses different states and shows you, and I think it makes it it's helpful it's a little difficult to go through it, more difficult than the Hello World, but I think it helps understand some of the principles that Jovo uses. So for example, we have an i18n integration that lets you just input all the different translation files there. So there is a separation between content and code, which is helpful there. And some other things that we added here. So for example, Amazon has built-in intents, and Amazon yes intent and Amazon no intent, for example, and what we offer is an intent map so that you don't have to use Amazon yes intent if you want to use Google Assistant as well. So yeah, that's mostly it. I hope it wasn't too much, or it's still very, very simple first steps. I'm here to help if you have any questions, if you run into any problems. I would love for you to try this one out here, because we just launched it and we need feedback, and I think it makes the development process even easier. It will probably look like way different in a week or two, but it's I think a first step to have a more cohesive development environment for people to just debug, and also for testing. So what we often have is when some of the team members develop something and I'm testing it, for example, I'm just in front of the Alexa device, and then I'm trying it out, and then somewhere there's an error, and it's super difficult to find it afterwards, so you have to take notes all the time. And here you can just go through the conversation afterwards. It's just logging the conversation, and you can just see, okay, where's this going? Why did it go there? Cool. Are there any questions? Anything else? Yeah.
The debugger is really awesome. In comparison to the actions control, it's much easier.
Thanks.
Especially if you can see what the device is doing. Talking to it. But what I'm interested in is also, like, can you show us an example of things that only Google can do, for example, like some basic cards, or I don't know what you've got implemented so far. But something which Alexa can't do, but Google can, and how does it look in code? How would you do it?
So what is super interesting about Google is they have the phone as well. So so Amazon is very good at owning the home, or like having a lot of devices that are perfect for at home. And Google has so many devices. Peter mentioned it yesterday, I believe. And so I bought the Pixel. So I went from an iPhone to an Android phone, just because Google Assistant is so easy to reach here on it. And I don't know if it works here now. Talk to my test app. So, okay. So
it will be an app or a future of Google?
it's still it's still an action on Google. So it's in the Google Assistant app. So you can talk to it, but you can also tap it, and I can show you. I can show it to you here. So you can do stuff like this from Google Action. I think it's add suggestion chips.
So you can show cards or something?
Yes, for example. So you can do, and I hope this works like that. I have to look for it, but you can do stuff like.
It will also be on PC. You can.
I don't think it's available. Does anyone else know about that? If it's on PC, I don't think so. Yeah.
Yeah, this is on Chromebook, yes, but otherwise not. Chromebook, they actually are netbooks, yeah, Google. I understand.
So let's run the server again and try it out. So what I just added is suggestion chips. So so on the mobile phone, this is helpful now. So
my test app isn't responding right now. Try again soon.
Okay, I just found the wrong. Oh, it's called show suggestion chips. This makes sense.
Sure, here's the test version of my test app.
So as you can see here, so this is helpful on the mobile phone. So if people don't know how to talk to you, I mean, one of the biggest problem with voice apps is discovery. Like, one thing about discovery is that people don't find your app, but the other thing is that people don't find your features. And so suggestion chips are really helpful, like as the name suggests, that they show you how you can talk to the app. So you can say stuff like, I don't know, I can just tap that, and it's recognized as a normal utterance or phrase. And so, as you can see here, it works. So this is one feature that's helpful for Google Assistant on the phone to add suggestion chips, and I would encourage to use that because it's really helpful for people. I mean, there's a downside as well, because maybe sometimes you don't want to guide the conversation. Sometimes you want to have an open conversation. But I think at the current state of voice apps, it's helpful to guide the conversation and to not have a conversation that's very open, because the technical limitations are still there. Yeah, so that's one thing. So platform-specific features can be added just by doing stuff like this .Google action, and then use it there. And Yeah. Anything else? Yeah.
Do you support, do you want to support more platforms that are connected to that as well, to integration? So right now, as far as I understood, you support Alexa and Google Assistant.
Mm-hmm.
Seems to allow in your code to
Our goal is to support people to bring the right information to the right device at the right time. I messed it up. Right information at the right time on the right device. And because I believe in the future there won't be like just one channel and then that's it. We have so many devices we're interacting with all the time that it's important to build for product systems and not like single products or single apps. And so something like a continuous experience where you're at home talking to Alexa or Google Assistant, but then on the go you're continuing the conversation on Facebook Messenger or mobile phone, for example. So this is where we are headed. We're working on version 2 of the framework. So this is 1.2 right now. We're working on version 2 that modularizes the framework a little more and that helps people switch different natural language understanding tools so that they can use Wit.ai or Rasa, for example, instead of Dialogflow, but also switch the different channels to make it easier for people to also add a conversational element to other apps as well. Yeah.
Is the version 2 will be like the version 2 of Alexa SDK?
It will be a little more similar to the version 2 of the Alexa SDK, yeah. So it will also be, so this one is in Node.js, but we'll also switch to TypeScript and add more modules and just make it, so because we're focused on professional teams and enterprise use cases, we think it's very important to allow people to extend the framework as much as they want and just switch and swap different elements. And like, for example, some people might not like this one here. This is easy to get started, but other people maybe don't like having all the logic in one object here. And so to easily switch our routing, for example, with other things will also be possible, for example. Cool. So so if you're using Jovo and have any questions, so we're around all day, also tomorrow. Just let us know. Happy to help. It's super easy to get started with voice apps, and the Pareto principle of like the 80% is super easy, but then it gets super difficult to make something like the last 20% to make them work. I think you probably don't need that for this hackathon, but like if there's any technical limitations you run into or anything else, like not only framework related, just let us know, and we're happy to help get our hands dirty. Cool. Okay, that was it.